Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our 2015 MLB team previews right now with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, who's been doing this professionally for almost 30 years. Right, Joe Duffy? You've been a professional handicapper for almost 30 years.
Professionally since 1988, worked part-time for Dallas Sports before that, and really my handicapping goes back to my youth, but that's another story altogether.
Unreal. You've been handicapping baseball from the beginning of the season for all that time, right, Joe?
My plays have been public since June 1st, 1988.
Unbelievable. All right, well, we'll see what you can tell us about Atlanta. Atlanta, we just discussed Philly, and Atlanta is also, the market's kind of down on Atlanta. Not as down on Atlanta, but certainly they have them as doing a lot worse than last year. Last year, Atlanta won 79 games. They were 79 and 83. But the win total right now is 74.5, very juiced to the under. 74.5. The over is plus 138, the under minus 163 at bookmaker. You know, they don't have much power. Their offense is looking very weak, but they do have some nice names in their starting rotation, and I think some legit talent here. So I guess the first question I'll ask you is, how would you rate Atlanta's starting rotation here, and do you think that the market isn't giving them enough credit for the quality of starting pitching that they'll have?
The big question about their starting rotation is, of course, Mike Minor. Look, we know when this guy was healthy, he was a heck of a pitcher and a guy who showed a lot of potential. If Minor can come back completely healthy, all of a sudden their rotation looks a little bit better. Look, Julio Teheran, he's actually looked very solid, and that could be a nice little 1-2 punch. Alex Wood, we're going to see, but after that, it gets fairly weak. But as far as their starting rotation, it really depends on Mike Minor, how healthy he's going to be, and how much he can truly, fully recover from his injury.
Do you think it really depends on him? Because they have some other nice names in that rotation as well, not just him.
Wandy Rodriguez, he's been around for a while. Stoltz is okay. Miller, he's all right. They could potentially, and I do believe that sometimes when the top of the rotation, they perform, it takes a little bit more pressure off of like the number 3 and 4 guys and enables them to basically do what they're expected to do. So, yeah, there's a little potential there, and obviously with Freeman, the Braves still have a couple decent bats. They've got good speed in the lineup, but all in all, I don't think it's going to be a playoff year until they move into their new stadium. Most people believe that the Braves are kind of building the team to be a contender in a couple years when their new stadium is built.
Yeah, last year they ranked 11th in the National League in homers and 14th in slugging, and they lost some power from last season. So the biggest weakness clearly seems to be power in the lineup. How bad do you think the situation is for Atlanta this year?
I do think that there will be a lot of low-scoring games, and truthfully, the Atlanta fans, much like in Miami, they're notorious for being very bandwagon. The over-under at Braves games this year will probably be about 60 people. I mean, they're not going to have much of a home field advantage. I wouldn't be surprised. Off the top of my head, I would predict that the Braves probably could have a positive units one on the road, but could be a big go against at home. And, yeah, their pitching is going to have to be pretty good because that's their best chance to be competitive this year.
Okay, so maybe they'll also be a good underbet. Last year, they were the second best underbet in all of baseball. They were 57.5% unders last year. And if the offense has gotten a little bit worse and the pitching is still okay, maybe we'll see, a repeat of that. You think we should expect 55% unders from Atlanta this year?
We've got to wait to see what kind of statement the odds makers make. I do think that they will be among the lower scoring teams in Major League Baseball, but then again, most of the world's kind of expecting that. So you can be low scoring and still not be a big under team because the odds makers, they're the ones who set the over under. But I don't expect runs to be all that much. And who knows? Maybe when the Braves are actually favored, some people might want to take the underdog on the run line. Or then again, I don't think the Braves are going to lose that many blowouts this year. They should be somewhat competitive, so maybe taking the Braves plus 1.5 runs at times might be a pretty good play as well.
So let me pin you down on this. 74.5, the under minus 163, the over plus 138. Which way would you go on that one?
With the uncertainty with Minor, I'll say under.
Under 74.5 minus 163. All right, thanks so much, Joe. And you expect to have a good year, day in and day out in baseball at your website, OffshoreInsiders.com?
I most definitely do. And also the Braves, I don't think they're going to be buyers at the All-Star break or at the trading deadline, I should say. So that's another reason. Yes, we are going to. In fact, if people want to email me, they can get more specific reasons why the past couple years have returned to our glory years, but it has to do with the steroid era ending. I'll explain it in detail if they want to email me through the site at OffshoreInsiders.com. yet another great baseball year, and the mini slump that we had at the early part of the century, it is gone for a specific reason. The past couple of years, we've bounced back big time. We'll explain why. Send me an email through offshoreinsiders.com.
All right, you can email Joe personally, offshoreinsiders.com. Thanks, Joe.